an entrepreneur in Kuala Lumpur, let's call her Sarah, spent the last decade perfecting her sustainable packaging company. For years, her main rivals were established firms in Germany and the United States. She tracked their every move, studied their supply chains, and attended the same global trade shows in London and New York. Her business plan was built around outmaneuvering these Western giants. But one morning in early 2025, during a routine market analysis, she discovered a startling truth. Her biggest and most innovative competitor was no longer a legacy company from the West. Instead, it was a fast-growing startup based not in Silicon Valley, but in the burgeoning tech hub of Shenzhen, China, funded by capital from Dubai. This small but profound realization is a story unfolding across countless industries today. The mental maps we have used for a century to understand global business are becoming obsolete. For generations, the centers of gravity for finance, innovation, and market dominance were firmly planted in North America and Western Europe. Aspiring entrepreneurs and established corporations alike looked to these regions for capital, technology, and customers. The pathways to success were well trodden, leading through Western universities, financial institutions, and consumer markets. This old world order, however, is quietly being redrawn, not by political treaties or military posturing, but by the relentless and pragmatic flow of trade and investment. Sarah's experience is not an isolated incident. It is a clear signal of a much larger structural shift in the global economy. The world's commercial and strategic focus is tilting eastward at an accelerating pace. While Western media and political circles remain consumed by their own internal dramas and historical rivalries, a new network of powerful alliances is being constructed across Asia and the Middle East. This network is not defined by shared political ideologies or old colonial ties. Instead, it is bound together by mutual economic interests, complementary strengths, and a shared vision for a future where technology and trade create prosperity without depending on the old gatekeepers. The competition is no longer just about who can sell more products to American consumers or who can secure funding from Wall Street. The new game is about who can build the most efficient supply chains between Jakarta and Riyadh, who can develop AI-driven logistics for the port of Guangzhou, and who can create digital payment systems that seamlessly connect consumers in Manila and merchants in Muscat. For business leaders like Sarah, this means the competitive landscape has fundamentally changed. The strategies that worked yesterday are insufficient for a world where the most significant opportunities and the most formidable challengers are emerging from a completely different part of the globe. The old alliances of the 20th century, like NATO or the G7, were born from the ashes of world wars and defined by Cold War politics. They were loud, formal, and dominated by Western powers. The new alliances emerging in the 21st century are different. They are quieter, more pragmatic, and built on the foundation of economic synergy rather than military might. A prime example of this is the rapidly strengthening bond between three major economic blocs: the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and China. This forming triple axis represents a colossal new center of global economic activity, connecting over 2 billion people and trillions of dollars in GDP. This is not a formal headline-grabbing treaty like those of the past. Instead, its power comes from a series of strategic interlocking agreements on trade, technology, and infrastructure. Recent summits between ASEAN and GCC leaders, with China acting as a pivotal economic partner, have solidified these connections. While Washington and Brussels are preoccupied with geopolitical conflicts and internal political divisions, leaders in Dubai, Singapore, and Beijing are busy signing deals. They are harmonizing customs regulations, funding cross-border infrastructure projects, and creating integrated digital payment networks. They are building a new system for a new era, piece by piece, without asking for permission from the West. Consider the tangible examples that illustrate this growing integration. China's vast manufacturing capacity and technological prowess find eager markets and strategic partners across Southeast Asia. Indonesia, for instance, is not just a market. Its ambitious plan to build a new green, smart capital city, Nusantara, is attracting massive investment and technological expertise from both China and Gulf nations. Meanwhile, the financial hubs of the GCC, like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, are no longer just recycling petrodollars into Western assets. They are strategically channeling their sovereign wealth into Asia's high-growth technology, renewable energy, and infrastructure sectors, securing their own future beyond oil. This emerging nexus is creating a self-reinforcing loop of growth and innovation. A factory in Vietnam can be financed by a fund in Saudi Arabia, use logistics technology developed in China, and sell its products to a growing middle class in Indonesia. This entire transaction can be settled using a new digital currency framework being piloted between the central banks of the UAE and China. The old system required routing capital and decisions through London or New York. The new system is more direct, more efficient, and completely centered on the needs and capabilities of the Asia-Gulf corridor, making the old Western alliances look increasingly slow and peripheral. This new economic alliance is not just about moving more boxes from one port to another. It is being built upon 5 transformative pillars that are fundamentally reshaping the nature of global trade and investment. These pillars are the core drivers of the new system, making it faster, greener, and more technologically advanced than anything that came before it. Understanding them is key to understanding where the world is heading. The first, and perhaps most critical, is the rise of digital energy trading. This involves using blockchain and AI to create transparent, efficient markets for liquefied natural gas and renewables, allowing a solar farm in the Emirates to sell energy credits directly to a factory in Malaysia in real time. The second pillar is the wider adoption of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Nations like China and the UAE are pioneering cross-border payment systems that bypass the traditional SWIFT network, which is dominated by the US dollar. This allows for faster, cheaper, and more direct transactions between Asian and Gulf partners, reducing their dependence on Western financial systems and protecting them from geopolitical sanctions. The third pillar is the creation of green trade corridors. This involves building supply chains that prioritize sustainability using electric ships, AI-optimized routes to reduce fuel consumption, and verifiable green certifications for products, a major initiative for ports from Singapore to Dubai. The fourth pillar is the establishment of interconnected AI and data hubs. Cities like Shenzhen, Singapore, and Dubai are competing to become centers for artificial intelligence research and data storage. By sharing data within agreed protocols and co-investing in AI talent, these hubs are creating powerful ecosystems for innovation in everything from autonomous logistics to personalized financial services. This collaborative approach to AI development is creating a technological advantage that is independent of Silicon Valley, fostering innovation that is tailored to the unique needs and massive scale of Asian and Middle Eastern markets. Finally, the fifth pillar is the explosion of culture tech platforms. This is about more than just exporting movies or music. It involves using technology to scale cultural influence and build soft power. Think of Chinese social media apps that become dominant in Southeast Asia, Indonesian gaming companies that attract a massive following in the Middle East, or Emirati-funded media platforms that produce content for a Pan-Asian audience. This cultural exchange, powered by technology, builds a sense of shared identity and consumer preference within the new alliance, further strengthening the economic and social ties that bind these regions together. The scale of this transformation can feel overwhelming, but the rise of this new Asia-Gulf axis is not just a story for governments and multinational corporations. It is creating immense opportunities for entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals who are willing to look at the world through a new lens. The key is to stop thinking within the confines of the old Western-centric model and start identifying the needs and gaps within this emerging ecosystem. The good news is that you don't need billions of dollars or a government mandate to participate. The new alliance is built on speed, agility, and innovation, creating openings for smaller, smarter players. Here's a first simple but powerful business idea. Create a Green Corridor certification consultancy. As trade between Asia and the Gulf increasingly moves towards sustainable practices, there is a growing need for trusted third-party verifiers. Your business would help small and medium-sized enterprises in places like Indonesia or Thailand navigate the complex environmental standards required by buyers in Dubai or importers using China's green ports. You would offer services to audit supply chains, implement sustainable practices, and provide the digital certifications needed to access these lucrative green trade routes, becoming an essential bridge in the new economy. A second idea is to launch a culture tech translation service focused on gaming and digital content. The cultural exchange between Asia and the Gulf is booming, but it is often hindered by language and cultural nuances. Your company would specialize in more than just literal translation. It would offer deep cultural localization for video games, streaming content, and social media campaigns. Imagine helping a Vietnamese mobile game developer successfully launch their product in Saudi Arabia by adapting its story, art, and marketing to resonate with local tastes. You would be facilitating the very cultural connections that form the fifth pillar of this new alliance. Finally, consider a third idea: developing a fintech platform for cross-border SME financing using CBDCs. Many small businesses in ASEAN want to trade with partners in the GCC, but struggle with the high costs and slow speeds of traditional bank transfers. Your fintech startup could build a user-friendly platform that plugs into the emerging digital currency infrastructure being built by central banks. By facilitating faster, cheaper payments between an exporter in the Philippines and an importer in Oman, you would be directly solving a major friction point in the new trade network. These are not futuristic fantasies, they are practical business ideas for today, for the world as it is becoming, not as it was. The new Silk Road is being built now, and it is inviting you to help lay the next stone.